The earth breathes beneath us, a vast silent tomb layered with countless years. We think of history as neatly written on paper, but the real story is buried in the dark, cold places where the sun never touches. It is here that explorers and diggers find things that simply cannot be. They are the fragments of a world that existed before time, before our earliest memories, objects that shatter everything we believe about humanity. Tonight, we journey into the deep darkness to count 100 of these impossible secrets. Every textbook tells us that our civilization is young, a story of a few thousand years, starting with simple tools and slow progress. But the Earth holds relics, called out-of-place artifacts, that whisper a terrible contradiction. These are objects of advanced technology, or carved remnants of forgotten wisdom, found buried in stone layers that are millions of years old. Our journey tonight will move through 10 chapters, each one digging deeper into the mystery. We will find evidence of long-dead civilizations that possessed a knowledge we've only just rediscovered, and some we still don't understand. This is a slow-burn journey through the deepest secrets of our planet, a meditation on the unknown. Turn off the lights, listen closely, and let the quiet, chilling truths of the buried world lull you into a deep, uneasy sleep. The deeper we dig, the more fragile our own history seems. The London Hammer. In 1934, a couple walking near London, Texas, found a piece of rock with something sticking out of it. When they broke the stone open, they discovered a perfectly crafted iron hammer, complete with a wooden handle inside. The mysterious stone around the hammer dated back over 400 million years, a time when dinosaurs were still thousands of centuries in the future. Who left this familiar tool in rock that was present before the first flowers bloomed on Earth? It's a tool that should be 100 years old, trapped in a stone that is 400 million years old, a clear break in the chain of time. This strange hammer is a ghost made of iron, a symbol of a forgotten craftsman. Scientific tests show the metal is very pure, unlike the iron smelted in our modern world, and the handle is partially turned into coal, a process that takes immense time and pressure. It suggests a civilization with the ability to forge advanced tools existed in the vastness of deep time, long before the earliest known human ancestors even walked on two legs. The dark rock was the perfect silent witness to this impossible truth. The only way this hammer could be inside the ancient rock is if it was dropped there by someone, or something, millions of years before we were told history began. The official history books refuse to acknowledge it, quietly classifying it as an unexplained puzzle. But the hammer itself sits in a museum, a silent, heavy object that proves everything we believe about the start of human technology is utterly wrong. It is the first, impossible, secret in the Earth's endless vault. The Coso artifact. In 1961, 3 people searching for interesting rocks in the Coso Mountains of California found what looked like a simple geode, a rounded stone lump. When a jeweler cut it open with a diamond saw, expecting to find crystals, he was shocked to find something else entirely, a perfectly circular piece of ceramic with a shiny 2mm shaft of metal running through its centre. It looked exactly like a modern spark plug from an engine. The problem? The geode was dated to be at least 500,000 years old. 500,000 years ago, the only tools on Earth were rough stones, not complex layered pieces of ceramic and metal. The artifact was deeply fused into the incredibly hard mineral crust, confirming its extreme age. Critics have suggested it's a modern tool that somehow got trapped in a rapidly forming mineral nodule, but the deep, slow-forming nature of the surrounding stone structure tells a different, much stranger story. It hints at a long-forgotten science far beyond any civilization we have on record. This impossible spark plug has been lost over the years, leaving behind only X-rays and detailed drawings. But those images show undeniable evidence of components that required sophisticated engineering and metallurgy. It sits at the edge of accepted science, a piece of industrial technology that should belong in a car engine, but was sealed away in a time when the only transport was walking. It suggests a vast, silent gulf in our understanding of the deep past. The Klerksdorp spheres. Deep within a mine in South Africa, diggers have been pulling up small metallic spheres from a layer of rock called pyrophyllite. This rock dates back an astonishing 2.8 billion years. The balls themselves, called the Klerksdorp spheres, are not natural. They are perfectly round, often made of a nickel-steel alloy that is incredibly hard to find or forge. Many of them also have 3 parallel grooves running perfectly around their circumference, as if they were carefully cut or manufactured by some kind of ancient tool. A human-made object existing 2.8 billion years ago is an outright scientific nightmare. That time period is known as the Precambrian, an age of simple single-celled life, long before fish, plants, or any advanced life form existed. Yet these spheres show undeniable signs of intelligent design, with precise grooves and balanced weighting. Who or what possessed the technology to extract and shape these metals in a time that predates Earth's complex life? It's a terrifying question to ask in the silent depths of the mine. Some geologists argue the spheres are natural concretions, or naturally formed rock masses, but they cannot explain the perfectly parallel grooves or the pure metal composition. The evidence is simply too precise for randomness. These small, powerful objects sit in a museum, a collection of tiny metallic truths that prove history is far older and more bizarre than we can imagine. They are the marbles of an unimaginably ancient game, buried at the very bottom of time. The Dorchester Pot in 1851. Workers blasting rock near Dorchester, Massachusetts, for a public project uncovered one of the most baffling artifacts ever found. 2 pieces of a shattered bell-shaped metallic pot were ejected from the solid, 2-foot-thick rock layer after an explosion. The rock surrounding the object was known to be a type of sedimentary stone dating back over 600 million years. This means the pot was deposited in the Earth's crust before the earliest multicelled life forms even began to crawl on the planet. When the pieces were carefully cleaned, they revealed a highly ornate design, described as beautiful silver inlay work and floral patterns. It was clearly a product of sophisticated craftsmanship, not a natural formation. This beautiful vessel, with its intricate carvings, was sealed in stone from a time when the Earth was a primordial ice-covered planet. It is an impossible marriage of technology and deep geological time, suggesting an ancient artisan was at work hundreds of millions of years ago. For a metallic vessel to exist in the Cambrian period, it means a forgotten intelligence, one that could mine, smelt and decorate metal, was living and working in a time frame that simply defies all scientific models. The pot eventually vanished, only preserved in historical accounts and detailed drawings. But its existence continues to shake the foundation of our history, proving that even the most beautiful and delicate things can be buried and forgotten forever beneath layers of impossible rock. The Baalbek stones. In Lebanon, deep beneath the massive Roman temple complex of Baalbek, lies the quarry of the impossible. Here, carved and buried deep in the earth, are the legendary Baalbek stones, or the trilithon. These are 3 monolithic building blocks that are among the largest ever quarried by hand, each weighing over 800 tons. They were part of a supporting wall, but even deeper in the quarry, an even larger unquarried block known as the Stone of the Pregnant Woman sits half buried. This massive block weighs an estimated 1,000 to 1,200 tons, the equivalent of 3 jumbo jets. It lies abandoned in the bedrock, a ghost of an engineering feat that was attempted but never finished. No known civilization in history possessed the ability to move a stone of this weight, especially not with the primitive tools that the official timelines allow. It suggests the true temple was not built by the Romans, but on top of a foundation left by a previous stronger species. The sheer size of these blocks defies all known logistical and mechanical principles of the past. Why carve something so immense and then abandon it, half buried in the quarry dirt? Perhaps the civilization that created them was suddenly wiped out, or they possessed a lost anti-gravity technology that simply failed. Whatever the reason, these subterranean giants are silent monuments to a power that once manipulated the Earth itself, only to be buried and forgotten over time. The grooved plates of Latimer. During mining operations in Latimer, Pennsylvania, in the late 19th century, miners found a series of mysterious iron plates deep underground, sealed within a coal vein that was millions of years old. These plates were not merely rough hunks of metal, but were covered with perfect intentional grooves and indentations. They looked like components from some kind of vast interlocking machinery, or perhaps a complex information storage system, like an ancient metallic library. The coal seam itself was incredibly old, meaning the plates were either dropped into a pre-existing fissure or were manufactured and sealed into the Earth's crust by some immense pressure. The metal showed signs of having been carefully worked and shaped, and the grooves were too precise to be a trick of nature. It's yet another piece of compelling evidence that metalworking, a skill we credit to a time only a few thousand years ago, was mastered in the unimaginable deep past. Imagine the feeling of a simple miner deep beneath the surface, finding a sophisticated piece of machinery that the Earth itself claims is millions of years old. It's a mind-bending moment, a sudden, cold realization that everything you were taught about the timeline of the world is wrong. The plates are another silent fragment, an eerie, complex metal blueprint for a technology whose purpose we can only guess at from the dark. The Sumerian King List. Found buried in ancient Mesopotamian ruins, the Sumerian King List is not a machine, but a record that functions like one, shattering the timeline with its numbers. This clay tablet lists the kings who ruled Sumer, but it claims the earliest rulers reigned for impossible lengths of time. One king, Alulim, is said to have ruled for 2800 years. These incredibly long reigns are attributed to rulers before the Great Flood, the world-ending catastrophe described in many ancient stories. The list then switches abruptly after the flood narrative to kings who rule for normal human lifespans, suggesting a profound break in history. When this tablet was dug out of the earth, it forced historians to choose between accepting a mythological past of near-immortal rulers or rejecting the record entirely. It is a piece of written technology that holds a terrifying secret. Our current era is merely a broken, brief second act after an impossibly long and ancient rule. The text is a buried history book sealed in the deep soil that tells of a world where time itself seemed to run differently. These are not merely mythical tales, they are inscribed, official documents found in the historical layer of an actual civilization. The list implies a deep, forgotten age where technology, or perhaps biological science, extended lifespans far beyond what we know. The Earth gave up a secret that rewrites the very length of the human story. The Alubaid objects. At the deep, dusty archaeological site of Alubaid in modern-day Iraq, diggers found strange, small terracotta figures that predate the Sumerian civilization. These artifacts, found buried in the oldest layers of the Earth, depict humanoid figures with bizarre reptilian-like features, elongated heads, almond-shaped eyes, and faces that look more like lizards than people. Some of the females are even shown nursing infants, suggesting they were not deities, but part of a living culture. These figures are a haunting mystery because they were found deep beneath the known cradle of civilization, in layers that should only contain the most primitive tools. They suggest an unknown non-human species or culture occupied the Earth before the Sumerians, the earliest people we recognize. The figurines are found in burial sites, showing they were treated with reverence, a part of a forgotten ritual for a people whose faces are unnervingly alien to us. The discovery forces us to consider the chilling possibility that what we call humanity was not the first dominant intelligent species on Earth. These buried relics are a silent testimony to a pre-human world, a time when strange, cold-blooded faces dominated the landscape. They were found deep underground, preserved by time, whispering of an ancient, cold race that was simply buried and forgotten when the Great Flood or some other catastrophe swept the world clean. The Saqqara bird, discovered in 1898 in a 2,200-year-old Egyptian tomb at Saqqara, this small wooden object was initially dismissed as a simple ceremonial bird or a child's toy. Yet, when closely examined, it shows remarkable aerodynamic features. It has a high aspect ratio wing shape that is characteristic of a glider, and a unique, vertical rudder on the tail that would be necessary for stability during flight. It does not resemble any bird known in Egypt, living or mythical. The object, carefully carved from sycamore wood, suggests the ancient Egyptians may have understood the basic principles of flight, an incredible concept for a time that precedes the Wright brothers by millennia. Why would they bury a model of a flying machine in a tomb unless it had some profound technological or ritualistic significance? It was a buried piece of knowledge, sealed away in the dry darkness of a royal burial chamber, a secret kept safe from time. For an object to be buried in this manner, it implies a deep respect and a level of knowledge that was not widely shared. Was this a relic of a time before the tomb was built, inherited from an even older, more sophisticated civilization? It is a tiny, silent fragment of wood that whispers of advanced aerodynamics and lost science. It proves that what we find deep in the earth are often not just dead bodies, but the technological secrets of a past we never knew existed. The Ayud object. In 1973, workers digging a trench near the Meuse River in Transylvania found 3 objects buried deep in the sand, 35 feet beneath the surface. 2 were the fossilized bones of a massive mastodon. The third was a wedge-shaped piece of metal. This metal object was tested and found to be composed of 90% aluminum, a metal that is not found naturally in a pure state and requires modern smelting technology to produce. Aluminum production was only invented in the 1880s. The object was found next to the bones of a mastodon, an extinct animal that died at least 11,000 years ago and was sealed under a layer of sand that was 20,000 years old. This strange, impossible metal had been buried for a period of time that precedes any knowledge of metallurgy. Its shape was also unusual, appearing to be a component from some kind of mechanical assembly. Where did a highly refined, processed metal part come from, millennia before we learned to make it? The Ayud object, now a ghostly artifact, is one of the clearest examples of a technological time traveller. It is a piece of industrial-era metal resting next to the remains of an Ice Age beast, sealed deep in the primeval earth. It proves that the earth is not a static museum of the past, but a hiding place for relics that challenge every date on our calendar. The object remains a silent, silvery truth that we are not the first, nor perhaps the most advanced civilization to have walked this ground. The Glen Rose Footprints. In the riverbeds of Glen Rose, Texas, researchers have found one of the most controversial pieces of evidence buried in the ground. They are perfectly preserved human-like footprints found right next to, and even crossing, the footprints of dinosaurs. These tracks are sealed within the Cretaceous rock layer, which is known to be over 100 million years old, placing modern man at a time when only giant reptiles should have walked the earth. This discovery shatters the established timeline of life. The tracks are impossible to explain with our current understanding of evolution. If humans appeared 100 million years after the dinosaurs died out, how could their feet press into the very same mud? Skeptics argue they are simply eroded dinosaur tracks, but the heel marks, the clear arch, and the distinct pattern of a human stride are too compelling to dismiss. These prints are ghost steps, evidence of ancient travellers walking the same primeval paths as the terrible lizards of the deep past. Imagine looking down at a riverbed and seeing the definite imprint of a bare human foot next to the 3-toed print of a massive beast. It creates an unsettling image of 2 worlds that should never have met. Did a forgotten race of giants walk the earth during the time of the dinosaurs, only to have their entire civilization and their very existence swallowed by the deep rock? This cold evidence remains, fossilized lies that the earth is forced to hide. The Meister print. In Utah in 1968, a collector named William Meister was splitting apart a piece of shale rock, a common activity for finding fossils. What he found was extraordinary. The complete fossilized imprint of a human sandal or shoe, crushing a small prehistoric trilobite. Trilobites are small marine creatures that became extinct over 250 million years ago, long before the dinosaurs even appeared. Yet the distinct heel mark and stitching line of a sandal were clearly visible. The layer of Cambrian shale was so deep in time that it predates all known land-dwelling animals, let alone a creature that could manufacture footwear. The print was deep in the rock, proving it was made when the mud was still soft, instantly sealing the secret. It is a chilling picture. An ancient ocean floor, a tiny trilobite swimming by, and then a sudden, crushing step from a sophisticated, unknown foot. Who wore sandals on the primordial sea floor? The impression clearly shows a flattened trilobite embedded in the sole mark, proving the shoe was worn by a heavy body and crushed the creature when the sediment was fresh. This single artifact is perhaps the most difficult for science to explain, as it pushes the date of intelligent shoe-wearing life back hundreds of millions of years. It's a terrifying echo from the black depths of time, a lost footprint that proves our species is much, much older than we dare to believe. The Burdick print. In the Paluxy River in Texas, not far from the site of the Glenrose finds, another inexplicable set of footprints was discovered by Clifford Burdick. This time, the prints were a series of clear, perfect impressions of a human heel and arch, also found in the same geological layer as the dinosaur tracks. These prints were notably well formed, showing the unmistakable characteristics of a modern human foot, sealed forever in the stone of the Cretaceous period. What makes the Burdick print particularly haunting is its undeniable clarity. It is not an ambiguous smear, but a detailed impression showing the displacement of the ancient mud with the pressure of a human heel. This simple, elegant proof of human-like presence during the age of the great reptiles is a quiet bombshell. Every step preserved in that deep rock is a challenge to the entire history of life on Earth, suggesting a civilization that began, thrived, and was then completely forgotten. The footprints, once exposed to the air, began to weather and fade, as if the Earth was trying to rebury its secret. But for a time, they were there, silent, undeniable proof that the long-dead deep past is far stranger than we imagine. These footsteps from 1,000,000 centuries ago tell a terrifying, simple story. We were not the first, and the long sleep of the Earth is filled with the unacknowledged ghosts of those who walked before us. The cast of a finger. In the 19th century, in the vast limestone deposits of Idaho, a fossil was found that defies all natural laws. It was a clear cast of a finger, perfectly preserved, found sealed in a formation that dated back over 100 million years. What was truly terrifying was that the finger itself appeared to belong to a creature with an advanced skeletal structure. A finger that looked remarkably modern and human-like in its proportions and joints. The surrounding limestone was so old that at the time of its formation, the Earth was dominated by primitive life forms. This means a fully developed, intelligent hand was somehow present during the age of the dinosaurs, a cold, hard fact sealed in the bedrock. The cast shows a distinct knuckle and the fine lines of a finger, details that could not have been created by any known natural process. It is a tiny, terrible detail from a hidden history. The fossil has since disappeared, only existing in the records of the era, adding to its mysterious legacy. But the thought remains, somewhere, deep in the earth, the full skeleton of this long-dead creature must exist, waiting to be found. The single cast of the finger is a warning, a physical sign of a species whose history was deliberately excluded from the books. It is a ghost hand waving from the terrifying gulf of deep time. The axe head in the coal deep within a Scottish coal mine, a discovery was made that was so impossible it was almost immediately covered up. Miners found a clear iron axe head, of a design that would have been familiar to a 19th century blacksmith, but it was completely encased in a seam of solid, billion-year-old coal. Coal takes millions of years to form from compressed plant matter, yet this metal object was sealed inside the dense black rock. For a finished iron tool to be present inside a Precambrian coal seam is an extreme violation of all geological rules. It means someone was mining iron and shaping tools at a time when the first fish hadn't even evolved in the oceans. The act of finding it was a moment of pure terror for the miners, who realized the Earth itself was hiding a truth too big for them to comprehend. The deep pressure of time had swallowed and preserved this forgotten relic. How did a crafted iron axe end up where it did? Was it dropped into a fissure long ago, only to be crushed and absorbed into the forming coal? Or was it proof that an ancient iron-wielding civilization existed so long ago that its remnants are now the fuel we burn for energy? The silent, heavy presence of the axe, buried in the black heart of the coal, is a constant, terrifying question whispered from the darkness. The Nampa figurine. In 1889, during a well drilling operation in Nampa, Idaho, a small clay figurine was pulled up from an astonishing depth of 320 feet. The drill had passed through 15 feet of lava flow and other geological layers, placing the clay figure at a depth associated with the Pliocene epoch, which is over 2 million years ago. The figure itself was an intricately crafted representation of a female, clearly baked clay, showing a high level of artistic skill. 2 million years ago, the only human ancestors were rough tool users in Africa, yet this delicate artwork was found buried deep in the earth of North America. The figurine shows details of clothing and posture that suggest an advanced, settled culture capable of art and firing ceramics. It is a ghost of a forgotten artist, preserved in the very foundation of the earth, proving that sophisticated craftsmanship is not a recent human invention. The discovery immediately caused an uproar and was quickly dismissed by scientists who could not accept a 2-million-year-old artist. The figurine itself, being made of fragile clay, began to dry and crumble after being exposed to the air, as if the past was actively trying to retreat. But its image and its story remained, a silent testimony to a gentle artistic race whose entire existence was buried beneath layers of hardened lava and time. The Tayport tile. In the early 20th century, a worker digging deep into the earth in Tayport, Scotland, discovered an inexplicable patterned ceramic tile. This was not a simple piece of broken pottery, but a finely manufactured tile with a complex repeating geometric pattern fired into its surface. It was found sealed in geological strata that dated back millions of years, in layers that should only contain mud and ancient sea life. The tile represents a level of organized industrial production, the creation of durable, decorative ceramics that is only supposed to exist in the last few thousand years of human history. To find it so deeply buried means a sophisticated, building-oriented civilization existed in the terrifying chasm of deep time, only to have its entire foundation sealed and forgotten beneath the ocean floor. The deep pressure of the earth was the tomb of this lost industry. This single piece of perfect ceramic, with its intricate pattern, is a silent scream from a lost civilization. Who created this beautiful, hard-wearing floor tile, and what massive temple or structure was it meant to decorate? The answers are still buried, hidden in the ancient clay that held the tile in its silent, million-year-long embrace. It is the architectural ghost of a forgotten world waiting for the rest of its ruined city to be uncovered. The Kingoody brick. In the 1840s, a worker in a quarry at Kingoody, Scotland, made a chilling discovery. He was splitting open a solid block of ancient sandstone, stone that was estimated to be hundreds of millions of years old. Sealed entirely within the middle of this solid, hard rock was a metal nail. The head of the nail was completely covered in the stone, meaning it was not hammered in later, but was placed there when the sand was still soft and forming into rock. A metal nail, an invention of human ingenuity and smelting, cannot exist in sandstone from the Devonian period, the age of fissures. This simple, mundane object, a common part of building, became a nightmare of chronological impossibility. It implies that a carpenter was working with iron tools at a time when the earth was populated by armoured fish and primitive plants. The nail is the quiet, perfect proof of a civilization that preceded even the concept of land-based mammals. The nail itself was slightly rusted but otherwise perfectly formed, a testament to the immense power of the deep rock to preserve its secrets. It asks a profound question. What massive wooden structure did this nail once hold together? The answer is buried somewhere in the earth, a wooden fortress or city that has long since decomposed into the soil, leaving only its iron ghosts behind. This tiny metal rod shatters the entire timeline of Earth's life. The human jawbone in tertiary deposits. In the early days of paleontology, a human-like jawbone was discovered deep in the earth near Castanedolo, Italy. It was found sealed within layers of tertiary period rock, which dates back millions of years. This jawbone possessed a distinct modern human structure, placing it in a geological layer that should only contain the remains of very primitive non-human primates. The jawbone was not merely dropped into a crevice, it was carefully dug out of an intact ancient stratum. If the jaw belonged to a modern human, it means that our species, or a species exactly like us, existed on Earth millions of years before the accepted evolutionary date. This single piece of bone, buried in the deep European soil, suggests a far more complex and ancient story for the human race. The bone itself is a ghost of a person whose civilization has been entirely erased, leaving only this fragment in the crushing silence of the earth. This discovery was so difficult to reconcile with the established science of the time that it was quietly dismissed and ignored by the scientific world. It was a truth too terrifying to accept, that the history of humankind is not a slow climb from the caves, but a repeated cycle of rise and fall across the deep abyss of time. The fossilized jawbone remains a silent, terrifying relic, proof that there were advanced people walking the Italian soil millions of years before Rome was ever conceived. The Macoupin County bronze in Macoupin County, Illinois, a small, highly decorated bronze coin-like object, was discovered deep in a layer of coal. Like other finds in coal, this places the metal object in an age of the Earth that is millions of years before human civilization. The bronze was carefully carved and decorated, suggesting it was not a rough tool but a piece of currency, jewellery or ceremonial art from a complex society. The fact that this object is made of bronze is particularly unsettling. Bronze is an alloy, a mixture of copper and tin, which requires high-temperature smelting and specific knowledge of metalworking to create. Yet, this piece of advanced artistic metalwork was found sealed within a coal seam that was hundreds of millions of years old. The silent pressure of the earth had absorbed the artifact, turning it into a silent metallic ghost. The bronze artifact is a powerful, tiny proof that a metallurgic society once existed so far back in time that its entire era has been compressed into the black rock we now use for energy. It asks the chilling question, what happened to this advanced ancient world? The Earth gives us no answer, only the tiny, impossible, decorated bronze disc. It is the buried coin of a forgotten empire, deep beneath the prairies of America. The Longyu Grottos, deep beneath the small village of Longyu, China, lies a breathtaking and impossible secret, a series of 36 perfectly carved sandstone grottos, forming an immense underground labyrinth. These colossal man-made caverns were excavated with such precision that the ceilings are supported by perfectly symmetrical pillars, and the walls are uniformly etched with parallel chisel marks. The scale of the excavation suggests millions of tons of stone were removed, but there is absolutely no record of who built them, why, or where the removed rock went. The grottos date back at least 2,000 years, but their sophisticated engineering, including the ability to carve into the stone without modern surveying equipment, suggests a knowledge far exceeding that time. The entire complex is dry, stable, and perfectly preserved by the cold, silent earth. It feels less like a simple quarry, and more like a secret temple, a storage facility, or perhaps a subterranean city built for a purpose we cannot comprehend. The sheer volume of human labour required to carve these endless chambers is staggering, yet they are completely absent from all ancient Chinese historical texts. It's as if a massive civilization undertook this colossal project and then simply vanished, taking the blueprints and the entire historical record with them. These deep, silent chambers are a testament to a forgotten age of subterranean mastery, a massive void in our history carved directly into the heart of the earth. The Derinkuyu Underground City. In the region of Cappadocia, Turkey, a massive multi-level subterranean city was discovered, carved entirely out of the soft volcanic rock. Known as Derinkuyu, this complex plunges 18 stories deep, capable of housing over 20,000 people along with their livestock and food supplies. It is a terrifyingly efficient, self-contained world beneath the ground, complete with ventilation shafts, wells, schools, and even a winery. What makes Derinkuyu unnerving is the reason for its existence. It was designed for total, long-term siege and survival. Heavy, circular stone doors were engineered to roll into place from the inside, sealing off the different levels and making them impenetrable. The inhabitants of this deep city were living in a constant state of fear from a threat so terrible they chose to live their entire lives in the cold, black silence far beneath the sun. The earliest parts of the city date back thousands of years, to a time before any major regional conflict that would justify such an extreme retreat. Who were they hiding from? Was the threat human, or something else entirely? A climatic cataclysm, or perhaps a more ancient terror that roamed the surface? Derinkuyu is a massive, hollowed-out fortress, a monument to a profound and lasting fear, buried deep in the silent stone, Pumapunku's impossible foundation. While Pumapunku is an above-ground ruin in Bolivia, its foundation stones are the true subterranean mystery. Deep beneath the topsoil, the complex rests on enormous, precisely cut foundation blocks of granite and diorite. These stones are carved with such sharp, complex and perfect angles that it appears to have been done with a modern-day milling machine, not the simple stone and bronze tools available to the Tiahuanaco culture. The massive interlocking foundation stones feature H-shaped blocks and perfect right angles, often with drill holes that show incredible precision. The sheer hardness of diorite makes it impossible to cut with primitive tools. It requires diamond-tipped drills and immense power. Yet, these stones lie buried as the foundation for the entire complex, sealed away and supporting a ruin that is itself thousands of years old. The architects of Pumapunku buried their best work, hiding the technological sophistication of the foundation beneath the surface. It suggests they either inherited the site from a much older, more advanced builder, or they possessed a stone-cutting technology that was later lost or deliberately concealed. These impossible blocks resting deep in the cold ground are the silent metallic sharp blueprints of a pre-cataclysmic world, proving a lost machine age once existed. The tunnels of the serpent reports from ancient South America, particularly Brazil and Argentina, speak of vast, complex networks of subterranean tunnels known as paleo-burrows. These are not caves formed by water, but gigantic, interconnected tunnels carved deep into the rock. Some are large enough to drive a truck through, and they show claw marks and tool scratches that suggest they were excavated not by humans, but by enormous, now extinct ground sloths. The chilling mystery is that these animals were grazers, not miners, and the sheer scale of the tunnel systems, some running for hundreds of miles, defies the needs of any known animal. It suggests these massive beasts were perhaps organized or engineered to excavate these colossal subterranean shelters for an unknown purpose, perhaps by an intelligence that used them as living, enormous digging tools. The earth itself holds these coiled, endless serpentine paths. The tunnels are silent and dark, massive remnants of a time when the earth was being hollowed out from beneath. They pose a terrifying question. If these were not shelters, were they escape routes? Were they built to house a population fleeing a cataclysm on the surface? Or perhaps to simply transport some unimaginably huge resource? The earth is riddled with these vast empty hallways, waiting for the return of whatever made them necessary. The catacombs of Malta deep beneath the island. Of Malta lies a vast network of ancient, prehistoric subterranean chambers known as the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum. This UNESCO site is not a natural cave, but a massive, intricately carved temple complex that plunges 3 levels into the earth. It was originally used as a sanctuary and then as a burial site, holding the remains of thousands of people, most of whom had strangely elongated skulls. The most unnerving feature is the oracle room, a perfectly carved space with acoustics so precise that a male voice speaking in a low tone resonates throughout the entire structure. This mastery of sound within a rock-cut tomb suggests a lost understanding of sonic engineering, possibly used for ritual or communication. The entire complex is a silent, resonant chamber, waiting for the correct frequency to awaken its ancient secrets. The deepest levels of the hypogeum were suddenly abandoned and sealed around 2500 BC, leading to the chilling possibility of a sudden catastrophe or invasion that forced the mysterious builders to leave their dead in their temple. The thousands of remains found deep in the earth, many with these unnervingly elongated heads, are the forgotten population of a highly secretive subterranean culture that vanished without a trace, leaving only their echoing tomb. The Cave of the Tayos, located deep in the remote rainforest of Ecuador. The Cave of the Tayos is a vast natural cavern that hides impossible signs of ancient manipulation. Explorers have documented long, perfectly straight tunnels, smooth walls, and sharp geometric cuts that suggest the use of advanced tools. The natural formations have been modified by an intelligence that sought to carve a precise, deliberate network into the deep stone. The cave is also rumoured to hold the metallic library, a vast collection of gold and metal plates engraved with the lost history of a forgotten civilization, allegedly hidden in a sealed subterranean chamber. While the library itself remains undiscovered, the evidence of artificial modification in the deeper tunnels is strong. The sheer effort to carve these straight, long passages deep beneath the rainforest is a colossal, inexplicable undertaking. The local Shuar people speak of the cave as a sacred site, used by their ancestors to act as a hidden older world. It is a place where the history of the earth has been rewritten in metal and stone, far from the eyes of modern civilization. The Tayos cave is not just a hole in the ground, It is a gateway to a massive, dark, hidden archive of a time when superior technology was used to carve secrets into the deep heart of the mountain. The underground city of Yanatash. Beneath the Chimera Mountain in Turkey, where eternal flames known as the Chimera Fires burn from the rocks, is the rumoured location of a colossal hidden subterranean complex. While the surface only reveals the natural fires, ancient myths and geological anomalies suggest a massive abandoned city or temple network built deep into the mountain. The permanent fires are fueled by natural gas, but the legend suggests they mark the vents of a long-dead, fiery machine. This hidden city is said to be the burial place of the monstrous Chimera, a mythological creature, or perhaps the source of the mythological tales themselves. If a massive advanced complex was built deep into the earth beneath this mountain, the constant natural gas fires might be the only visible sign of its ventilation system or its power source. It is a chilling idea, a forgotten city whose internal mechanisms still vent hot breath into the air, millennia later. The persistent flames are a strange, eternal marker for a secret buried in the stone, a kind of dark beacon for a world that was engineered deep beneath the surface. It is a mystery that is literally hot to the touch, a geological and mythological enigma that begs to be explored. This mountain is a grave marker for a subterranean civilization that might have once harnessed the power of the very earth, only to have its existence swallowed by the silent stone. The Olmec Pyramid Tunnels. The Great Olmec Pyramids, like the one at La Venta in Mexico, are some of the oldest colossal structures in the Americas. Deep beneath these impressive earthen mounds, archaeologists have discovered complex, highly engineered tunnel and drain systems. These tunnels were not simply for water runoff, but were lined with thousands of precisely cut, polished serpentine and jade blocks, materials that were sacred and incredibly difficult to quarry. Why would a culture bury its most valuable, artistic and labour-intensive work deep underground, never to be seen? The sheer volume of buried jade and serpentine suggests a ritualistic or technological purpose, far more profound than drainage. It implies that the true core of their civilization and their deepest secrets were always hidden from the sun, sealed away in the cold, permanent silence beneath the massive structures. These tunnels are the hidden veins of the Olmec world, conduits for forgotten rituals or technology. The act of burying such wealth and engineering suggests a belief system that prioritized the subterranean world over the surface, or perhaps a knowledge of a coming geological event. The massive earthen mounds are just the cap, sealing the vast, unknown secrets of an early American super-civilization in the deep, damp earth. The tunnels of the Incas. In the Andes Mountains, local legends speak of vast, interconnected subterranean tunnels known as the Chincanas. These tunnels are said to link the most sacred Inca sites, including Cusco and the Temple of the Sun. They are described as being built with precision that defies known Inca masonry techniques, often too narrow for a modern human, and guarded by malevolent spirits or ancient technological traps. Numerous explorers have entered these legendary tunnels over the centuries, but nearly all have been forced back or have simply vanished, leading to official sealing of many known entrances. The sheer scale and depth of the rumoured network suggest an infrastructure that predates the Inca Empire, inherited from an even older, more mysterious civilization that mastered the manipulation of the mountainous rock. If these tunnels truly exist and connect the entire region, they represent a hidden, dark version of the Inca Empire, a world of secretive travel and defence that ran parallel to the surface world. The earth here is hollowed out, riddled with the dark passages of a lost people whose journey was often taken in complete silence and darkness. The Chincanas remain the greatest, deepest secret of the Andes, a vast, carved truth waiting to be re-entered. The underground Great Wall. The Great Wall of China is a massive visible structure, but less known are the vast, deep subterranean structures and networks built beneath it. While some are simple storage vaults, ancient texts refer to colossal underground fortifications, sealed bunkers, and tunnels that run parallel to the wall for defensive purposes. These buried structures often use advanced techniques, including complex draining and ventilation systems suggesting massive long-term habitation. The cost and effort of building these underground sections, which would rarely be used, is enormous, implying a profound, persistent fear of a deep earth or unseen enemy. These hidden structures were not merely buried, they were actively sealed and forgotten by later dynasties, perhaps because they knew the original purpose was too dangerous or terrifying to remember. The earth along the wall is laced with these buried secrets, silent, stone lungs built for an army that would fight not on the surface, but in the silent darkness. The visible wall is only the facade. The true defence was hidden deep below. This network is a haunting reminder that the greatest engineering feats of the past were often undertaken in secret, buried away to hide a knowledge or a history that was far too fragile for the light. The giant skulls of the Caucasus. In the rugged mountainous regions of the Caucasus, explorers have documented the discovery of massive human-like skulls buried deep in remote caves and tombs. These craniums are significantly larger and heavier than those of modern humans, with some measuring twice the size. Local legends speak of a race of giants who were the original inhabitants of the mountains, a powerful, ancient people who were buried and forgotten when a great catastrophe struck the earth. If these accounts are true, they point to a distinct non-human lineage that existed in the deep past, a powerful, colossal race whose skeletons now lie sealed in the cold mountain rock. The geological layers where these relics were allegedly found date back to a time when our own, smaller ancestors were just beginning to evolve. It is a chilling picture. Our history is haunted by the presence of true giants, buried in the dark soil they once claimed. The fact that the remains are often found in carefully constructed burial sites rather than simple graves suggests a revered culture that took great care in interring its dead. These massive skulls are silent monuments to a lost lineage, a race that was not forgotten by time, but actively concealed by the crushing weight of the earth. The mountains are the perfect cold tomb for these terrifying remnants of a colossal, forgotten past. The elongated skulls of Paracas, buried deep in the desert sands of Paracas, Peru, thousands of years ago, bodies were found with skulls unlike any modern human. These remains display unnervingly elongated craniums, often much larger and heavier than skulls deformed by simple head binding. Genetic testing on these specific skulls has shown mitochondrial DNA with mutations that are completely unknown in any human, animal, or known primate database. The deep burial sites suggest this was a distinct population revered by the ancient Peruvians, who possessed a genetic marker that is alien to our current human family tree. Who were these beings that looked human, but carried a different history in their very DNA? They were buried with care, sealed in the dry earth, holding a genetic secret that challenges the very origin of the human race. Their presence suggests a split in the human story, a parallel lineage that walked the earth and built a culture before they were swallowed by the silent desert. These skulls are the ultimate terrifying proof that the history of intelligent life on this planet is not a single, straight line, but a broken, shattered mosaic. The Paracas tombs are not graves, they are the buried archives of a forgotten non-human history. The copper-clad mummy. In 1878, near the mountains of Siberia, a deep burial site was discovered that held a human body wrapped entirely in copper plates. The copper had preserved the body in a way that defied the passage of thousands of years. The deceased individual was laid in a massive, elaborate tomb deep in the frozen soil, suggesting immense importance and a sophisticated knowledge of preservation techniques using metals. The true chilling part is that copper was extremely rare and valuable in that harsh, ancient environment, and its use suggests a specific technological purpose for the burial. Was the copper used simply for preservation, or was it meant to shield the body from something, a natural energy source, or a post-mortem transformation? The body was sealed in a tomb that was as much a vault as it was a grave. This ancient metal-clad mummy is a cold, silent mystery, a body buried not just by the earth, but by technology. It suggests a forgotten understanding of metallurgy and physics, used by a culture that believed the body, even in death, needed protection or isolation from the surface world. The earth holds this metal shell, a silent testament to a burial practice that was both expensive and profoundly strange. The Denisova cave genome deep in the Altai Mountains of Siberia, in the depths of the Denisova cave, fragments of bone and teeth were found that rewrote the history of humanity. Genetic analysis revealed they belonged to a previously unknown human species, the Denisovans, who interbred with both early Neanderthals and modern humans, spreading their unique DNA across the globe. The remains were buried deep in the ancient cave soil, dating back hundreds of thousands of years. The unsettling truth is that this species, which influenced our own modern DNA, was only discovered because a single finger bone and a tooth were found sealed in the deep, cold layers of the cave floor. It suggests that there may be dozens of other forgotten human lineages, extinct and buried deep in the earth, whose history we have yet to uncover. The cave is a natural archive of lost human evolution. The existence of the Denisovans proves that the human story is far from simple. It's a conspiracy of interbreeding and forgotten branches. They lived and died, their existence entirely swallowed by the earth, until these small fragments gave up their immense genetic secret. The cave floor is not just dirt, it is a layered timeline holding the genetic ghosts of our forgotten ancestors, waiting in the cold silence. The megalithic mound of Monte Decode. On the island of Sardinia, there stands an enormous, unique stone structure, known as the Monte Decode, which is unlike any other temple in the region. It is a massive stepped mound, a true megalith built from countless tons of rough-hewn stone. Deep beneath the later structures, archaeologists found evidence that the original structure was far older, dating back to a period when local cultures should not have possessed the engineering skill to move such colossal blocks. What makes this structure truly unsettling is the profound mystery surrounding its purpose and construction. It is built in the style of the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, thousands of miles away, suggesting a lost global connection between ancient deep earth builders. Why would a culture on a remote island build such a massive earth-mound structure unless they were channeling a profound, shared architectural memory? This vast mound is a silent, stone echo of a forgotten age, a buried memory of a world where cultures shared colossal engineering knowledge across vast oceans. It is a terrifying proof of a deep past where global communication was commonplace, a history that has been entirely swallowed by the earth and the slow erosion of time. The colossal mound stands today as a silent, strange monument to this immense buried memory. The mysterious cave of the giants. High in the Canary Islands, in deep, isolated caves, local legends speak of the burial sites of the Guanches, the original inhabitants. The most chilling part of these legends centers on the Cave of the Giants, a hidden crypt containing the mummified remains of people who are far taller and physically distinct from the later islanders. These giants were buried in a deep, secluded spot, suggesting their lineage was a secret to be guarded. These deep, dry caves acted as natural burial vaults, perfectly preserving the bodies of these towering, forgotten people. If a distinct, colossal lineage truly existed here, it suggests a profound, localized evolutionary branch that was isolated and then mysteriously vanished, their existence only preserved in the cold silence of the deep earth. The caves are the final resting place of a people whose very size challenges our history. The secrets of the Guanches and their giants were deliberately sealed away in the darkest corners of the islands. The caves are not just tombs, they are historical vaults, holding the preserved bodies of a forgotten towering race whose entire history was swallowed by the sudden arrival of the modern world. The earth here has mummified the terrifying silent proof of a vanished colossal human branch. The ancient Iron Pillar of Delhi. The Iron Pillar of Delhi is a colossal 7-metre-high metal column standing in India that has defied rust and corrosion for over 600 years. While the pillar itself is on the surface, its composition is the mystery that suggests a buried, forgotten knowledge. The metal, which is 98% pure wrought iron, has a unique rust-resistant film created by an extremely high phosphorus content, a process that modern metallurgists struggle to replicate cheaply. The sheer size of the column and the purity of the iron required to create it suggests a sophisticated, industrial-level, metalworking technology that existed in ancient India, far surpassing the metallurgical knowledge of the time. This knowledge did not survive, meaning the ability to forge such impossible metal was either lost or deliberately buried along with the civilization that possessed it. This towering, silent metallic monument is the visible ghost of a lost technology, a piece of surface evidence for a deep, industrial past. The secret of its rust-proof alloy, a technology that would be worth billions today, lies buried with the engineers who created it, sealed away in the silent earth. The iron pillar stands as a cold, hard proof that we are not the first to achieve mastery over the very elements of the earth. The mummified baby alien of Chile. In the vast, dry Atacama Desert of Chile, a mummified body was found that was unlike any human, buried in the ancient soil. Dubbed Ata, the tiny skeleton was only 6 inches long, but had an elongated skull and only 10 ribs instead of the human 12. Initial reports claimed it was an alien, but later DNA analysis confirmed the body was human, but with massive genetic anomalies that are still not fully understood. The body was buried deep in the silent, dry, desert earth, perfectly preserved by the cold climate. The genetic defects were so severe and numerous that they defied any known human syndrome. This tiny, chilling relic represents a massive genetic mutation that was either naturally occurring or perhaps the result of a forgotten ancient technology, a life that was born and buried outside the normal laws of biology. Ata's resting place in the deep desert soil kept her secret safe for years. The tiny skeleton is a profound, unsettling mystery, a biological anomaly whose very existence forces us to question the stability and limits of the human genome in the deep past. This fragile 6-inch ghost is a silent genetic scream from a forgotten, non-traditional history of human existence. The lost city of the Z Deep beneath the dense, unexplored jungle of the Amazon, explorer Percy Fawcett searched for a massive ancient city he called Zed. Fawcett believed that a highly advanced civilization once existed in the Amazon, complete with paved roads, huge structures, and advanced technology, but that it was entirely swallowed and buried by the rapid growth of the jungle and the deep, rich soil. While Fawcett was swallowed by the jungle himself, modern remote sensing technology, like LiDAR, has begun to prove his conspiracy theories correct. Massive, highly complex geometric earthworks, fortifications and sophisticated road networks have been discovered beneath the jungle canopy, proving a monumental ancient civilization once thrived there, only to be buried and forgotten. The earth holds the ghost of this metropolis. The entire civilization of Z was deliberately concealed and sealed by the very forest it stood within, a cold, hard reminder that a world of immense complexity can be entirely erased from memory. The jungle's deep, soft earth became the perfect tomb for millions of people and their impossible structures. The Amazon is not just a forest. It is a massive, quiet graveyard hiding a buried, sophisticated empire. The star fort's deep foundations. Across the globe, thousands of star-shaped forts exist, built in perfectly geometric patterns that defy the logistics of their supposed construction era. What is less known is that the visible fortresses often sit atop far older, deeper, and more colossal stone foundations that extend deep into the bedrock. These foundations are often constructed with megalithic, impossibly cut blocks that predate the fortresses by millennia. The builders of the later forts often simply utilized the indestructible foundation of a far older unknown structure, covering up the evidence of the original colossal work. This suggests that the strategic locations were not chosen by the later armies, but were dictated by the indestructible remnants of a previous civilization's vast global network. The star forts are a cheap, simple cap on a terrifyingly ancient, complex machine. The secrets of the star forts are not in their walls, but in the cold, immovable foundations buried deep in the earth. These massive, silent blocks are proof of a profound global engineering project that preceded all known history, a lost network whose strategic points still influence our world. The Earth hides the true, deep purpose of these geometric anomalies, which were built to last forever. The Bimini Road, submerged off the coast of Bimini in the Bahamas, lies a perfectly straight, massive underwater formation known as the Bimini Road. It appears to be a gigantic paved stone road or wall, made of colossal limestone blocks that fit together with unnerving precision. This structure is located several feet beneath the ocean surface in an area that was dry land approximately 12,000 years ago, placing its construction far back in the age of the Ice Age. The perfectly aligned blocks and the right-angle turns of the formation defy easy geological explanation. Many scientists claim it is a natural formation, a simple beach rock alignment, but the scale and architectural regularity suggest human or intelligent design. This massive straight path runs deep into the cold silence of the ocean floor, a monument to a civilization that walked where ships now sail, only to have its entire world drowned and forgotten. The Bimini Road is a silent, paved ghost of an ancient shore, a massive structure sealed by the immense weight of the Atlantic Ocean. It suggests that a high culture, capable of moving and paving enormous stones, existed at the very end of the last ice age, an era we believe was populated only by nomadic hunter-gatherers. The ocean keeps the secret of who built this impossible underwater highway. The Yonaguni Monument. Off the coast of Yonaguni Island, Japan, deep in the Pacific Ocean, lies a gigantic submerged structure resembling a colossal, stepped pyramid or monument. This massive formation features unnaturally sharp right angles, perfect terraces, and what appear to be carved stairways and processional paths. It is sealed deep beneath the waves, submerged by a massive sea level change that occurred approximately 10,000 years ago. The structure is made of sandstone and sits at a depth that confirms its extreme age as a land-based construction. While geologists argue that currents and erosion might create such shapes, the sheer scale and the distinct recognizable features, like drainage channels and carved pillars, are too deliberate to be accidental. It is the visible foundation of a lost world, a terrifying testament to a coastal civilization that was drowned instantly. The Yonaguni Monument is a silent stone giant resting on the ocean floor, a visible fracture in the accepted timeline of Asian civilization. It proves that sophisticated architects were working with colossal stone far earlier than accepted history claims. The ocean, the greatest graveyard on Earth, swallowed this entire city whole, hiding the secret of its builders in the cold, vast darkness of the deep. The submerged temples of Dwarka, located several miles off the coast of Gujarat, India, lies the legendary massive submerged city of Dwarka, said to be the fabled city of the Hindu god Krishna. Divers have found colossal stone walls, defensive barriers, and large structured building remains scattered deep on the ocean floor, corroborating the ancient myths that the city was swallowed by the sea. Carbon dating of artifacts found here place the ruins at an astonishing 9,500 years old. The city's existence challenges the accepted timeline for large-scale planned urban civilization in the Indian subcontinent. To have a massive deep-sea structure built almost 10 millennia ago requires a level of engineering and construction that is simply impossible according to mainstream archaeological timelines. The deep mud of the ocean floor has perfectly preserved the forgotten architecture of this mythological metropolis. Dwarka is more than just a ruin. It is a physical bridge between myth and terrifying reality. The ancient stories claim the city was consumed by the sea as an act of divine punishment or catastrophe. Its discovery deep beneath the waves proves that colossal ancient coastal cities did in fact exist and were violently drowned, their secrets sealed away beneath the immense, cold power of the ocean. The submerged spheres of China. In the deep, dark water of Poyang Lake in China, local divers have reported finding hundreds of perfectly round, carved stone spheres resting on the muddy bottom. These spheres are uniform in size and show signs of being deliberately shaped and polished, suggesting they were manufactured for some colossal, unknown purpose. The lake itself is known for being extremely deep and volatile, adding to the mystery of how such heavy objects were deposited there. The sheer number and uniformity of the spheres suggest a massive industrial or ceremonial purpose for a culture that has been entirely swallowed by the water. Were they used as massive cannonballs, or perhaps as part of an anti-earthquake foundation for a long-lost city? Their perfect roundness and density imply a sophisticated understanding of geometry and mechanics, sealed away by the lake's cold depths. The lake floor is a natural archive, holding the silent, heavy proof of a forgotten civilization's immense industry. These submerged spheres are the lost marbles of a giant, or the components of a forgotten machine that rests at the bottom of the deep, dark water. The water keeps the location hidden, ensuring the ancient secret of their purpose remains safe in the lightless mud. The Antikythera mechanism's cause. The Antikythera mechanism, an impossible ancient Greek clockwork device found on a deep seabed shipwreck, is itself a mystery. But deeper than the ship itself, The sea floor around the wreck yielded core samples that suggest an even greater conspiracy. These deep samples contain traces of complex, impossible metallic alloys that were not part of the known mechanism, sealed deep in the primeval clay. These traces of highly advanced, non-ferrous metal suggest that the Antikythera mechanism may have been only a small, simple component of a larger, much older machine that was completely submerged and buried by the sea mud. The entire ship may have been carrying fragments scavenged from a previous deeper disaster, a technological ghost ship sailing on a sunken secret. The deeper we dig into the seabed, the stranger the artifacts become. The seabed is not merely a wreck site, it is a layered archive of lost technology. The existence of these impossible metal traces in the deep clay proves that the ocean holds the blueprints for a physics and engineering we have yet to discover. The vast, cold darkness of the Mediterranean conceals the remains of a massive ancient technological collapse, leaving only these tiny metallic whispers behind. The Cuban underwater city. Deep beneath the ocean waves off the coast of Cuba, sonar and robotic vehicles have located massive, highly structured formations that resemble a sprawling, complex urban centre. The imagery reveals geometric shapes, smooth platforms, and massive block-like structures that seem far too symmetrical to be natural, sealed by thousands of feet of water pressure. This impossible city rests at a depth that confirms its age is many thousands of years. The scale of the submerged site suggests a massive, highly organised civilization that built with colossal stone blocks and precision, only to have its entire metropolitan area swallowed by a massive rapid rise in sea level. It is a terrifying thought. An entire city, perfectly preserved but completely inaccessible, resting in the eternal darkness beneath the waves. The deep ocean is the ultimate tomb for a forgotten metropolis. This buried Cuban city is the clearest evidence yet of a massive cataclysmic geological shift that drowned vast areas of the Earth, erasing whole cultures from history. The technology required to build at this scale, only to be consumed by the sea, is a profound mystery. The deep, cold silence holds the secrets of this lost world, a dark, vast reminder that the ocean floor is paved with the forgotten ruins of a lost past. The submerged temples of the Sea of Galilee. In the freshwater Sea of Galilee, or Kinneret, in Israel, a massive cone-shaped stone structure was discovered resting on the bottom of the lake. The structure is built of unworked volcanic boulders, arranged in a massive, deliberate conical shape, suggesting it was built for a highly specialized, unknown purpose. Its size and weight are staggering, equivalent to moving 60,000 tons of rock, only to have it submerged in the lake. The strange shape and the effort required to build this massive stone cone underwater defy all logic. It was either built on land and then submerged by a great flood, or built as a specialized underwater foundation for a purpose we cannot comprehend. It is a lonely, cold monument at the bottom of the ancient lake, a silent enigma of colossal ancient engineering that was never meant to be seen. The stone cone is a physical marker of a deep, forgotten history, an immense structure created by a culture whose existence has been completely erased from the region's ancient texts. The lake's cold, dark water is the perfect preservation medium for this enormous secret. It is a heavy, silent proof that even fresh water can hide the impossible, swallowing the massive architecture of a lost people. The submerged city of Pavlopetri. Off the coast of Greece, the submerged city of Pavlopetri is considered one of the oldest known drowned cities in the world. It is not merely ruins, but a fully mapped urban centre, complete with streets, buildings, courtyards and tombs, all lying several feet beneath the calm Mediterranean waves. The layout suggests a sophisticated, well-planned city that was suddenly consumed by the sea over 5,000 years ago. The existence of such a complete, fully functioning urban centre at such an ancient date pushes back the accepted timeline for European architectural and civic planning by thousands of years. The stone walls and paved streets are perfectly preserved by the cold salt water, a terrifying snapshot of a bustling civilization whose entire existence was wiped out by a single, catastrophic sea level rise or earthquake. Pavlopetri is a ghost city, preserved by the ocean, telling a silent story of a technologically and socially advanced civilization that was completely swallowed by the water. It serves as a cold, wet reminder that even the most complex and orderly human creations are fragile when faced with the raw geological power of the earth and the sea. The gentle waves above conceal the silent stone perfection of this lost world, the underwater pyramids of the Azores. In the deep, remote waters of the Azores archipelago in the Atlantic Ocean, seismic surveys have revealed a massive, perfectly shaped pyramid resting on the seabed. The structure is large, symmetrical, and perfectly oriented along the cardinal directions, suggesting intelligent design and precise engineering. It is submerged far beneath the depth where any known ancient civilization could have built it, sealed by immense water pressure. The discovery implies the existence of a highly advanced, deep ocean-capable civilization that existed in the middle of the Atlantic at a time when the region should have been empty of sophisticated human activity. This massive geometric structure is not a natural formation, but a colossal, deliberate monument that was built to last, only to be entirely drowned by a catastrophic event. It is a lonely, cold secret in the vast, deep ocean. This impossible pyramid is a silent, heavy ghost of an Atlantic civilization that we have no record of. A culture whose entire architectural legacy was swallowed by the cold, dark depths. It forces us to acknowledge the possibility of a lost continent or an ancient, global seafaring culture that mastered engineering on a titanic scale. The deep water keeps the most profound secrets of the earth safe from our prying eyes. The sunken city of Atlicht. Off the coast of Israel, the submerged Neolithic village of Atlicht Yam was discovered, dating back approximately 7,500 years. This site is not a massive megalithic city, but a perfectly preserved village, complete with houses, wells, and most chillingly ancient human burials. The entire settlement was swallowed rapidly by a massive tsunami or flood, freezing the life of an entire people in an instant. The most unnerving feature is the presence of megalithic stone circles, a type of primitive colossal calendar or ritual site, found submerged within the village. The people of Atlicht were capable of moving massive stones for their ritual life, only to be instantly consumed by the very sea they lived beside. Their entire existence, from daily life to sacred practice, was sealed and preserved in the cold, silent depths. This submerged village is a haunting time capsule, a perfect record of a moment when the sea became the killer, swallowing an entire people and their sophisticated structures whole. The human remains resting in the underwater graveyard are a cold, powerful reminder that even the most advanced rituals and structures are no defense against the relentless, overwhelming power of a catastrophic global flood. The Siberian Screws. During mining operations in the Ural Mountains of Siberia, hundreds of tiny metallic spirals and screws were discovered deep in geological layers dating back as far as 300,000 years. These microscopic objects are too perfect, too uniformly coiled, and too precise to have been formed by any natural process. They were often found sealed inside ancient quartz and igneous rock, placing them at an age that long precedes the known use of metal tools by any human ancestor. These tiny objects are made of tungsten and molybdenum, metals with incredibly high melting points, suggesting the use of advanced smelting and micromachining technology. Who possessed the ability to craft these minuscule metallic components 500,000 years ago? And why were they buried so deeply in the earth? They look exactly like the microcomponents needed for advanced electronics, or perhaps small navigation devices. The sheer quantity and precision of these spirals suggest an industrial process on a massive scale, not just a single accidental find. The earth has preserved a forgotten microtechnology, sealing it within the very stone of the mountains. These tiny screws and springs are the dust of a super-advanced world, a forgotten industrial process whose entire civilization has dissolved into the silent past, leaving only these metallic ghosts. The Ohio Cylinder Seal. In 1872, during excavations in Ohio, a perfectly cylindrical clay seal was found buried deep beneath a mound structure that was already thousands of years old. The cylinder was covered in incredibly intricate carvings of animals and symbols that did not belong to any known North American native culture. Instead, the carvings closely resembled the style of ancient Sumeria or Babylon, civilizations thousands of miles away and thousands of years later. For a Sumerian-like artifact to be buried deep in the prehistoric earth of North America is a geographical and chronological nightmare. It suggests ancient deep earth global travel and contact at a time when continents should have been isolated. This cylinder seal was a tool for stamping or marking documents, implying a bureaucracy or complex written system existed in this long-dead, buried culture. The deep earth of Ohio, far from the recognized cradles of civilization, holds the silent proof of a hidden world history. This clay cylinder is a communication device from a lost global network, a piece of deep history that travelled across oceans and epochs only to be sealed away and forgotten. Its message remains locked in the earth, waiting for an intellect capable of deciphering the secrets of the buried world it represents. The tungsten cube of the Kibani Mountains. In the desolate, remote Kibani Mountains of Russia, fragments of a dense metallic cube were discovered deep within granite rock, one of the oldest and hardest types of stone on Earth. The metal was identified as almost pure tungsten, a metal known for its immense density and high melting point, requiring extreme modern temperatures to forge. Yet, this cube was sealed within rock that was millions of years old. The perfect cubic structure, even in fragments, suggests intelligent design and precision cutting, which would be impossible for any natural geological process to create. The only way tungsten could be sealed within the granite is if it was deliberately placed there when the granite was still molten, or if it was pushed down through unimaginable pressure over eons. It is a piece of super-heavy engineered metal from a time when the Earth was still forming. This dense tungsten cube is a cold, heavy ghost of a terrifyingly advanced industrial past, sealed in the deepest, most permanent stone. It is a material that defies time and heat, a perfect, indestructible remnant of a civilization that mastered extreme metalworking, only to vanish entirely. The Earth itself became the coffin for this indestructible, forgotten technological secret. The fossilized bell of West Virginia. Deep in a West Virginia coal mine in the 1940s, a metal bell was discovered sealed entirely within a thick seam of coal. The coal itself was dated to the Carboniferous period, hundreds of millions of years ago. The bell was an ordinary recognizable object, but made of brass, an alloy that requires sophisticated smelting. The find was dismissed as a fraud, but accounts suggest the coal around the bell was undisturbed, proving its impossible age. The bell contained within it a metal clapper, and the entire object was carefully crafted. For a brass object to be buried in coal from the age of giant ferns and insects is a profound historical anomaly. It suggests that a culture capable of making musical or signalling devices and using advanced metallurgy existed at a time that simply defies the evolution of all complex land life. This impossible, silent bell is the ghost of a forgotten sonic technology, a musical instrument from a civilization that was swallowed by the swampy forest that became coal. The black cold earth preserved its shape and metal, turning it into a chilling archive. It is a silent reminder that our history is riddled with moments of advanced technology that vanished completely, leaving only small buried whispers behind. The Schoonmaker Metal Spring. During a deep digging project in Schoonmaker, South Africa, a perfectly coiled metal spring was found deep inside a layer of rock that was billions of years old. The spring was small, precise, and showed the undeniable characteristics of being manufactured for tension and release, a piece of mechanical engineering that belongs in a clock or a complex machine. Yet, it was sealed in a rock from the Precambrian age. The discovery implies that an understanding of physics, mechanics, and metallurgy existed at the very dawn of geological time. Springs are highly specialized components, suggesting the existence of a far larger, forgotten machine. To have a coiled metal component in a rock that is over 2 billion years old is a clear, physical denial of the timeline of the universe itself. This tiny, tightly coiled spring is a perfect example of a technological ghost, a fragment of an immense forgotten machine that existed when the Earth was still a young, violent planet. It is sealed in the deepest stone, a quiet metallic pulse from a civilization whose existence spanned billions of years. The cold, silent rock became the perfect permanent vault for this tiny piece of impossible engineering. The prehistoric ceramic doll. In a layer of undisturbed ancient soil in the Balkans, archaeologists discovered a small, intricately designed ceramic doll buried deep beneath layers of rock that predated all known ceramic-producing cultures. The doll was beautifully stylized, suggesting a complex artistic tradition and the ability to fire clay at high temperatures, a technology that should not have existed at that time. The doll is the silent artifact of an artistic, settled society that lived, created, and was then completely swallowed by the earth, their existence erased before any known history began. For a non-essential, delicate object like a doll to survive, the eons suggests it was deliberately buried, perhaps as a ritual offering or a treasured relic of a deeply forgotten culture. This ceramic toy is a poignant, silent testimony to a peaceful, sophisticated people whose world was ended abruptly. It is a forgotten piece of childhood, sealed in the deep, cold earth, waiting for us to acknowledge its impossible age. The earth holds the memory of a lost art, a delicate ceramic whisper from a civilization whose story was deemed too fragile to survive on the surface. The grooved slate from Tennessee. In a quarry in Tennessee, a piece of perfectly flat slate rock was found buried deep in a stratum that was hundreds of millions of years old. The slate was covered in unnaturally precise parallel grooves and markings that appeared to be deliberate etchings or scoring rather than natural scratches. The depth and regularity of the grooves suggested they were made by a hard-powered cutting tool. For a piece of slate to be cut and marked with such precision in the Silurian period, when only simple marine life existed, is scientifically impossible. It suggests an intelligence with advanced tools was working the surface of the Earth hundreds of millions of years before humans even stood upright. The slate was likely part of a larger surface, a calendar, a map, or a massive architectural blueprint. The slate is a chillingly flat, precise secret, a piece of ancient geometry sealed in the cold, deep stone. It represents a lost knowledge of measurement and cutting technology, a tool used by a forgotten people whose existence was swallowed by the slow, immense grinding of geological time. The Earth held this flat, dark, incomprehensible blueprint safe for millions of years. The ancient circuit board of Russia. In a remote region of Russia, a strange piece of stone was found that, when examined, contained a fossilized imprint that looked exactly like a modern circuit board. The stone was millions of years old, suggesting that the electronic component was absorbed and petrified by the Earth at a time when technology should not have existed. The pattern of the wires and terminals was complex and entirely non-random. This impossible artifact suggests a deep technological past, a forgotten race that mastered electronics and created devices that were somehow sealed into the very stone of the planet. It is a chilling image, a complex, silicon-based device, a remnant of a hyper-advanced world, fossilized alongside ancient moss and mud. The Earth became the perfect mold for this technological ghost. The fossilized circuit board is a profound, silent challenge to our belief that we are the peak of technology. It is a cold, hard proof that a vast electronic infrastructure once existed, only to be crushed and swallowed by a cataclysm, leaving only these petrified blueprints behind. The Earth keeps the secret of the first age of electronics safe in its deepest, darkest rock. The Roman head in the coal, a chilling and impossible discovery, occurred in 1889 in a coal mine in Poland. Deep within an ancient coal seam, a large, perfectly carved stone bust resembling a Roman head was unearthed. The coal, dating to the Carboniferous period, meant the stone head had been sealed in the material for hundreds of millions of years, long before the Romans, or any humans, existed. The head showed clear, deliberate artistry, complete with a helmet or military style confirming its artificial origin. The presence of a Roman-style sculpture in a coal seam from the age of primitive life is a profound chronological collapse. It implies that a civilization that practiced complex stone carving and recognized Roman-like aesthetics existed far back in the vast, deep past. This unexpected face from the darkness sealed in the black heart of the Earth is a silent, cold enigma. It forces us to question if the Romans, or the culture that inspired them, were not the originators of their art, but the inheritors of a style that existed hundreds of millions of years earlier. The coal preserved this stone ghost, a petrified face from a world that has been entirely erased. The impossible pipe in the chalk. In a very old chalk bed in France, a perfectly formed metallic pipe was discovered sealed inside the dense, ancient rock. Chalk beds are formed from the compressed remains of sea creatures over millions of years, placing the pipe in the Cretaceous period, 70 million years ago. This metal object, clearly manufactured with a uniform diameter and a hollow core, suggested advanced plumbing or industrial use. For a metallic pipe to be present in the age of the late dinosaurs, it means a culture capable of mining, shaping, and forging metals was operating when the world was entirely different. The sheer impossibility of the timeline is a clear indication that we know almost nothing about the true inhabitants of the ancient world. The Earth itself swallowed and fossilized this industrial remnant. This simple, cold piece of metal, buried deep in the white chalk, is the silent, cylindrical ghost of a forgotten industry. It suggests a civilization that had mastered fluid dynamics and complex infrastructure, only to be entirely erased by a sudden, violent, planetary event. The deep, silent Earth is the vault for the terrible truth of a metallic technological world that existed before the last great global extinction. The Baghdad Battery's deep origins. The Baghdad Battery is a set of ancient earthenware jars, copper cylinders, and iron rods discovered in Iraq dating back over 2,000 years that appear to have been used as galvanic cells, or primitive batteries. While the jars themselves are historical, the chilling mystery is the theory that this technology was not invented then, but recovered from a much older, deeper civilization. They are a shallow echo of a profound, lost electrical science. The precision of the copper and iron components suggests an industrial knowledge far exceeding the early Mesopotamian period. Many theorists believe the Baghdad Battery is a relic, a piece of salvaged technology from a cataclysmic event, preserved and copied by later, simpler cultures who had no true understanding of electricity. The Earth holds the blueprints for a vast, forgotten power source that existed long before. These simple clay jars are a silent, startling testament to a vast electrical knowledge that was either inherited or recovered from a forgotten time. They whisper of an age when power was easily accessed and used by a culture that was entirely swallowed by the desert sands. The battery itself is a cold, fragile proof that the Earth once housed an electrical civilization, leaving only these small, shocking whispers behind. The giant stone balls of Costa Rica. Scattered across the jungles of Costa Rica, often buried or half buried in the deep earth, are hundreds of perfectly carved, massive stone spheres. They range in size from tiny marbles to spheres over 6 feet in diameter, and they are unnervingly perfect in their geometry. Their precision suggests incredible skill in stonework, yet no tools or evidence of the culture that created them have ever been found. These giant spheres, some weighing over 15 tons, are a monumental cold mystery. Why carve so many perfectly round stones, and why bury them across a vast, dense area? The effort required to create and transport them suggests a profound ceremonial or navigational purpose, perhaps even acting as enormous terrestrial markers for a lost science. The Earth holds the heavy, spherical secrets of a vanished culture. The most chilling theory is that these were not carved by hand, but formed by a forgotten advanced technology that could liquefy and reform stone into perfect geometric shapes. The Earth has slowly swallowed these cold geometric ghosts, preserving the silent, unreadable message of a forgotten people. They are the perfect cold proof that the laws of physics were once manipulated on a massive scale. The Siberian UFO fragment. In a remote area of Siberia, a dense metallic fragment was found deep beneath the permafrost, sealed in a layer of ancient frozen soil. When analysed, the fragment was found to be composed of an alloy that contained non-terrestrial isotopes, elements found in massive quantities in deep space, but extremely rare on Earth. The fragment showed precise, unnatural curves, suggesting it was part of a larger manufactured object. The metallic piece is a profound, cold secret from the deep past, a definitive sign that non-Earth technology has been buried in our planet for millions of years. It suggests a massive, catastrophic incident that scattered the wreckage of a non-terrestrial craft, only to have the entire event sealed away by the frozen Earth and the cold, immense passage of geological time. The Siberian permafrost is the perfect cold vault for this unearthly secret. This metallic shard is a silent, cold whisper from the cosmos, a piece of alien technology that proves our Earth history is only part of a far grander, terrifying celestial story. The deep, frozen Earth is keeping the silent, heavy proof of a catastrophic interstellar collision from millions of years ago. The star chart of the Mayans, deep beneath the Mayan pyramids of Chichen Itza, archaeologists found massive, intricately carved stone slabs that showed an impossibly accurate knowledge of celestial mechanics and stellar movements. These stone charts, sealed deep in the Earth, detail astronomical events that are thousands of years in the past, and which would have required telescopes and modern computers to predict or calculate. The most terrifying aspect is the precision of the calendar systems, which are mathematically perfect, suggesting a profound mathematical understanding far exceeding their supposed time. The only way they could possess this knowledge is if it was passed down from an earlier hyper-advanced civilization, or if they were given the information by a non-terrestrial source. The Earth holds this deep mathematical secret. These heavy silent stone charts are a time vault of astronomical knowledge, a hidden blueprint of the cosmos sealed in the cold darkness. They prove that the history of mathematics and astronomy is far older and more bizarre than we can imagine. The Earth swallowed this entire astronomical library, preserving the exact cold truth of a time when ancient eyes gazed upon the stars with perfect understanding. The Nazca Line's subterranean connection. The massive Nazca Lines, carved onto the Peruvian desert surface, are often viewed from the air, but many of the most important lines and shapes lead directly to underground tunnels and shafts. These hidden subterranean passages are carved deep into the Earth, suggesting that the surface lines were not just aerial art, but visible markers for a vast, hidden world beneath the ground. The geometric precision of the lines, many of which only make sense from hundreds of feet in the air, implies a technology or a perspective that should not have been available to the ancient Nazca people. The conjunction of aerial precision and subterranean entry points suggests the entire complex was designed to function as a colossal, hidden machine or energy grid, with the ground being the power source. The deep, dry desert Earth swallowed the entrances to this immense, geometric underworld, leaving only the surface markers visible. The entire plateau is a vast, open-air blueprint for a buried technology. The Earth holds the cold, silent truth of a civilization that communicated with, or was influenced by, an intelligence that operated from the air and the deepest soil. The pre-Columbian aluminum plate. In an ancient grave site in a South American tomb, a small, intricate plate made almost entirely of pure aluminum was discovered, sealed deep in the funerary earth. Like the Ayud object, this find is technologically impossible, as aluminum refining was only mastered in the modern era. The plate was deliberately buried, suggesting it was highly valued or had a profound ceremonial purpose. The purity and manufactured thinness of the plate suggest an industrial knowledge of chemistry and metallurgy that was entirely lost after the fall of the civilization that created it. This artifact is a shining, silent proof that industrial-level chemical refinement existed in the deep past, only to be entirely erased from the historical record and sealed in the earth. The entire tomb is a vault for this astonishing, impossible relic. The aluminum plate is a cold, metallic ghost from a world that possessed an incredible, forgotten scientific mastery. It proves that the Earth is not merely hiding gold and jewels, but the ultimate technological secrets of a past that mastered the very elements of the planet, only to be completely swallowed by time. The giant clay pipes of China. In the desolate, remote mountains of Qinghai, China, a complex network of impossibly straight, massive metal pipes was discovered sealed deep within a mountain. These pipes, which defy any known ancient Chinese technology, plunge deep into the mountain rock and the nearby lake. Analysis suggested the metal was highly specialized, rich in iron, and potentially radioactive. The scale of the piping system, some sections as wide as a torso, suggests an enormous industrial or energy transfer project that was buried and forgotten by the deep mountain earth. Who built this colossal, metallic plumbing system, and what immense, underground energy source was it meant to tap? The technology and the sheer logistical effort required are far beyond the capabilities of any known historical culture. The mountain itself became the vault for this colossal, silent industrial secret. These giant metal pipes are the frozen metallic veins of a forgotten energy-hungry world, a vast subterranean infrastructure that was suddenly abandoned. The Earth holds this dark, colossal proof that a super-industrialized civilization once used the entire mountain as part of its power grid. The magnetic bricks of Tiahuanaco Deep within the buried ruins of Tiahuanaco, Bolivia, massive foundation stones and blocks were found that possess an unnaturally high level of magnetism. These stones, weighing many tons, are perfectly cut and often found aligned to true north, suggesting they were part of a massive magnetic energy system or grid. The stone itself seems to have been artificially charged or processed. The only way for massive, naturally occurring stone to achieve such uniform, powerful magnetism is through a forgotten, high-energy technological process. It implies that the entire city was built upon a massive magnetic foundation, perhaps to counteract gravity or draw power from the Earth's own core. The Earth swallowed this colossal energy secret, burying the true function of the city. These magnetized stone giants are the silent, heavy proof that an ancient civilization had mastered electromagnetism on a colossal scale. Tiahuanaco is not merely a ruin. It is a decommissioned power station, its magnetic core sealed away in the deep, cold ground. The Earth holds the blueprints for a vast, forgotten energy source that once powered an impossible high-tech world. The buried crystal skulls. Several perfectly carved, life-sized crystal skulls have been discovered in Central and South America, often buried in deep ritualistic tombs or subterranean chambers. These skulls are crafted from a single solid piece of quartz crystal, a feat of engineering that requires high-speed industrial cutting tools, which should not have existed at the time of their creation. The unnerving precision and optical purity of the quartz suggest the ancient carvers either possessed advanced diamond-tipped tools or a lost technology for softening and shaping the crystal. The skulls were deliberately sealed deep in the earth, suggesting they were not mere decorations but profound ritualistic objects, possibly serving as data storage devices or communication tools. The quartz skulls are a cold, clear, silent secret from the deep, ritualistic past. They are the technological ghosts of a civilization that mastered materials science and light manipulation on a terrifying scale. The Earth holds these perfect crystalline heads, waiting for an intelligence to unlock the information sealed within their perfectly clear silent forms. The lost Ark of the Covenant's subterranean route. The biblical Ark of the Covenant is a legendary artifact, but its final fate, according to ancient texts, was not destruction, but deep, deliberate burial. Legends claim it was sealed in a massive carved subterranean vault deep beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, hidden away by the priesthood before the city was destroyed. This suggests a colossal hidden chamber exists in the deepest rock of the city. The search for this deep, carved vault continues to this day, as the political and religious sensitivity of the surface prevents deep excavation. If the Ark, a relic believed to possess immense, dangerous energy, was truly sealed in a massive underground chamber, it implies a lost knowledge of radiation shielding and deep earth construction. The earth beneath Jerusalem is the ultimate historical vault, holding the possibility of a profound technological relic that was deliberately hidden to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. The fear of what lies buried beneath the ancient city is so immense that the entire underground remains sealed. The deep rock is the final terrifying resting place of a superweapon from the ancient world. The Upart spheres of Klerksdorp. In the pyrophyllite mines of South Africa, hundreds of small metallic-looking spheres have been excavated from rock layers dating back over 2.8 billion years. These objects, known as the Klerksdorp spheres, are not natural formations. They are perfect or near-perfect spheres, often marked with 3 parallel grooves around the equator. They were found sealed deep inside the Precambrian rock, a time when the only life should have been single-celled organisms. The terrifying precision of these grooves suggests they were manufactured, perhaps used as ball bearings or components in a massive, ancient, high-speed machine. The rock that holds them is billions of years old, meaning a culture with sophisticated machining technology existed when the Earth was barely formed. It is a profound chronological collapse, sealed in the deepest, most permanent stone. The Earth itself became the coffin for this ancient, impossible industry. These small, perfect spheres are the cold, hard proof that a technological civilization existed at the dawn of time. Their entire complex world dissolved into dust, leaving only these geometrically perfect metallic ghosts behind. The silent, deep rock is the perfect vault for the terrible truth of the Earth's first machine age. The perfectly cubed pyrite, in deep gold and mineral mines across the globe, unnaturally perfect cubes of pyrite, fool's gold, have been discovered sealed within bedrock that is hundreds of millions of years old. While cubes can form naturally, the level of geometric perfection and the sheer quantity found in certain strata suggest a non-natural, high-pressure formation process, almost as if they were cast or grown by an unknown, impossible technology. The presence of such perfect geometry in primordial rock suggests that a forgotten physics or a high-pressure engineering process was active during the Earth's deep past. Were these the building blocks of a titanic geological-level construction project, or perhaps components of a massive buried power source? The Earth has perfectly preserved their perfect cold geometry. These perfectly cubed minerals are silent, terrifying whispers from an age of ultimate geological engineering. The Earth is not just a repository of natural history, it is a vault of colossal, precise, man-made forms that defy natural laws. The deep rock keeps the secret of a people who mastered the ability to manipulate crystal growth and geometry on an impossible scale. The Oklo nuclear reactor. In Gabon, Africa, deep within an ancient uranium mine, geologists discovered what they initially thought was a massive deposit of spent nuclear fuel. Further study revealed it was a fully functional, naturally occurring nuclear fission reactor that ran autonomously 2 billion years ago. The terrifying implication is that the geological conditions were exactly right to start and sustain a massive, controlled nuclear chain reaction for hundreds of thousands of years. The Oklo reactor functioned perfectly, self-regulating the reaction using groundwater as a moderator, meaning the physics of the Earth created an atomic power plant at the very dawn of life. This natural event proves that controlled nuclear fission is not a human invention, but a process inherent to the physics of the universe, a chilling sign of the Earth's latent, forgotten power. If the Earth could accidentally create a controlled nuclear reactor, what could an advanced, forgotten civilization have created deliberately? The deep rock of Gabon holds the terrifying silent proof that nuclear physics is not a modern secret, but a fundamental process that has been working in the dark Earth for billions of years, waiting for an intelligence to harness its colossal power. The Eltanin antenna, deep beneath the ocean floor in the cold, desolate region near the Antarctic, a massive, metallic, lattice-like structure, was discovered by a research ship in the 1960s. The object, dubbed the Eltanin antenna, appeared to be a huge geometric antenna or lattice tower, unlike any natural formation. It was sealed deep in the abyssal mud, suggesting an impossible age and origin. The structure was later dismissed as a natural sponge, but the original photographs clearly showed symmetrical metallic-looking support beams and a perfect geometric grid. If it was truly an artificial structure, its location and size suggest it was either a terrestrial deep-sea power station or a massive non-terrestrial signal beacon that fell to Earth millions of years ago, only to be swallowed by the cold abyssal mud. The deep ocean floor is the perfect cold vault for secrets too profound for the surface world. The Eltanin antenna is a silent, enormous metallic ghost from a world that mastered deep sea or interstellar technology. The immense pressure of the abyss keeps the true nature of this geometric colossal structure hidden in the lightless, permanent silence of the deepest sea. The perfect quartz rods. In various deep mining operations, particularly in Brazil and South America, unnaturally long, perfectly straight rods made of solid quartz. Crystal have been found sealed within solid granite bedrock. Quartz is one of the hardest minerals, yet these rods are shaped with a uniform diameter and perfect straightness that defies natural formation and suggests an immense, lost crystal shaping technology. The rods could have been used as waveguides for light or energy, or as components in massive ancient computers. Their perfect geometry and pure crystalline structure are a profound scientific anomaly, suggesting a civilization that could manipulate high-energy processes and the atomic structure of minerals. The granite itself became the perfect permanent cast for this fragile technological ghost. These cold, clear quartz rods are the silent, crystalline remnants of a high-tech world, a civilization that mastered both geology and physics on a colossal scale. The Earth swallowed their entire technological infrastructure, leaving only these perfect glass-like ghosts deep within the hardest rock. The granite holds the terrifying secret of a lost light-based technology. The petal-shaped copper ring. In an ancient, deep copper mine in Michigan, a copper ring, perfectly shaped like a stylized thin petal, was discovered sealed deep within a vein of pure unprocessed copper ore. The ring was so thin and perfectly formed that it suggests a rolling or shaping technology that requires massive industrial pressure, far beyond the capability of any known ancient culture. The fact that the copper object was sealed within the ore vein suggests it was deposited there millions of years ago when the ore was still forming, or that it was the catalyst for the copper's formation itself. This delicate industrial remnant implies an advanced culture was mining and refining copper on a massive scale long before the last ice age. This small, perfectly shaped copper petal is a profound, silent witness to an impossible, lost industry. It is a technological ghost, a thin, metallic memory of a civilization that mastered metalworking on a titanic geological scale, only to have its entire existence consumed by the very earth it was mining. The cold, dark earth is the perfect vault for this metallic industrial secret. The perfectly shaped fossils. In deep marine deposits across the world, countless examples of fossilized sea creatures have been found that possess unnaturally perfect geometric shapes, such as perfect spirals, logarithmic curves, and flawless radial symmetry. While these are often attributed to natural evolution, the sheer mathematical perfection suggests a forgotten interaction between biology and an unknown ancient geometric principle. It is as if the laws of evolution were once governed by a rigid geometric blueprint that has since been lost or corrupted. These fossils are the cold, hard proof of a forgotten perfect mathematics inherent in the deepest layers of ancient life. The Earth has preserved these geometrically flawless creatures, sealing their silent mathematical secret in the cold, deep clay. These perfect mathematical fossils are the terrifying silent evidence that the very building blocks of life were once guided by a profound, non-random geometric design. They are the ghosts of a time when the Earth's biology was engineered to absolute cold perfection. The deep Earth is the archive of a forgotten geometric creation story, waiting for the right mind to unlock its perfect silent code. The geometrically perfect pavements. Beneath the oldest natural-looking surface features in various parts of the world, particularly in South America, geologists have found vast, subterranean layers of rock that are unnaturally flat and perfectly paved. These massive, geometrically perfect sublayers suggest a colossal civil engineering project that was later covered up or buried by natural sedimentation. The sheer scale of this buried, colossal paving implies a massive civilization that sought to stabilize or process the entire surface of the Earth. Why would a culture pave the ground only to abandon it and let it be covered by millions of years of dirt? It is the ghost of a vast, engineered landmass, sealed away by the profound power of natural geology. The Earth itself holds the silent, heavy proof of a lost era of titanic construction. These perfectly flat subterranean pavements are the ghost roads of a super-civilization whose architecture extended far beneath the surface. The deep, cold Earth is the tomb of a people who treated the entire planet as a single, massive construction site. The manganese dioxide plates. In various deep-sea mining expeditions, massive flat plates of manganese dioxide have been discovered on the abyssal plains. While these plates form naturally, many display unnaturally perfect geometric shapes, hexagons, triangles, and flawless squares that defy random natural precipitation. These plates are sealed deep in the abyssal mud dating back millions of years. The perfect geometry suggests an underlying organizing principle, perhaps an artificial scaffolding or template that guided the mineral growth. Were these the deep-sea foundations of a massive mineral-growing technology, or perhaps components of an energy collection system placed on the ocean floor by an ancient civilization. The deep ocean has preserved their cold, perfect shape. These strange geometric mineral plates are the silent, cold evidence of a forgotten material science. The Earth's oceans hold the secret of a people who mastered the art of growing industrial-scale components directly from the minerals of the seabed. The cold, dark abyss is the final resting place of a deep-sea industrial complex, sealed away by the crushing weight of the ocean. The Vredefort Dome's deep structure. The Vredefort Dome in South Africa is the site of the largest impact crater on Earth, created by a massive asteroid 2 billion years ago. While the surface geology is studied, the deep excavated core of the Earth beneath the dome shows massive unnatural fault lines and structural anomalies. These deep fissures are too uniform to be purely natural, suggesting a pre-existing colossal, buried structure was hit and catastrophically destroyed by the impact. The incredible energy of the asteroid impact exposed a profound, terrifying secret: that a massive engineered underground system or city existed at the Earth's core, only to be utterly obliterated. The resulting fault lines are the scars of the deep Earth, proving that a colossal construction was smashed by the heavens, leaving only these immense, uniform fractures in the rock. The Earth's largest scar holds the silent, heavy proof of the greatest structural catastrophe in history. The Vredefort Dome is not just a crater. It is the visible, geological evidence of the total annihilation of a buried deep Earth civilization. The deep rock of Africa holds the ghost of this destroyed superstructure, a silent scream from the dawn of time. The sudden freeze of Siberia. The Siberian permafrost is not merely frozen ground. It is a massive graveyard of millions of mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, and other colossal Ice Age fauna. The chilling mystery is that many of these beasts died suddenly, instantly frozen while perfectly preserved, with buttercups and unchewed vegetation still in their stomachs. This suggests an immediate planet-wide temperature drop that buried and flash-froze the animals, leaving no time for decay or predation. This event was not a slow freeze. It was an instantaneous planetary catastrophe where the climate shifted from temperate to Arctic in a matter of hours. The sheer volume of frozen biomass suggests an entire ecosystem was suddenly consumed by an immense cold violence. This cataclysm created the deep permafrost, effectively sealing a terrifying moment of global collapse in a cold, eternal vault. The cold, silent Earth of Siberia holds the largest deep freeze graveyard on the planet, a massive archive of instantaneous death. It proves that the Earth's climate is capable of shifts so rapid and violent that they defy modern uniformitarian geology. The permafrost is the cold, hard proof that a vast, colossal world was suddenly annihilated, its history sealed away by the ultimate weapon, planetary cold. The Mima Mound's impossible geometry. Across the plains of North America, particularly in Washington state, there are thousands of massive, low-lying, perfectly symmetrical earthen mounds known as Mima Mounds. They're uniformly spaced, perfectly round, and rise in staggering numbers, giving the landscape an unnaturally patterned appearance. These mounds are sealed in ancient geological layers, and their formation defies simple geological or biological explanation. The precise, geometric spacing and uniform size suggest an intelligent non-human origin, as if the Earth itself was subjected to a massive, deliberate patternation or burial process. They were either the foundation for a gigantic, forgotten energy grid, or the mass graves for a cataclysmic event. The mounds are a massive hidden code written into the deep earth of the American plains. The deep earth of the prairies holds the cold, silent secret of this colossal, geometric graveyard. The mounds are the visible scars of a global event, proving that the Earth's surface was once manipulated on a titanic scale. The entire landscape is a vast, unreadable geometric puzzle, a silent testament to a forgotten, non-human design that was buried and forgotten by the deep, massive soil. The black mat boundary. Across the globe, in the geological layers corresponding to the Younger Dryas event, about 12,900 years ago, there is a distinct thin layer of black sediment known as the black mat boundary. This layer is often rich in rare materials like nanodiamonds, high-temperature spherules, and iridium, all telltale signs of a colossal extraterrestrial impact or an airburst event. This global geological marker is the precise physical sign of a catastrophic event that occurred at the exact moment a high-level civilization should have been forming. The layer proves that a massive global heat pulse instantly incinerated vast areas of the Earth, burying the entire continent-spanning event in a single, distinct layer of black ash and rare metals. The black mat is the terrifying silent evidence of a global annihilation, an event that wiped out the megafauna and plunged the world into a sudden deep cold. The Earth holds this thin black scar as a definitive date for the end of a world, a moment when the heavens delivered a swift, fiery, planetary execution. This thin layer of soot is the final black obituary for a lost super-civilization. The megaflood scars of the Columbia Plateau. The Columbia River Plateau in Washington state is carved with colossal geological scars known as the channeled scablands. These massive canyons and dry waterfalls were not formed by slow erosion, but by an immense catastrophic megaflood. This deluge, likely caused by the sudden breach of a massive glacial lake, released the power of 1,000 Amazon rivers at once, instantly carving the rock and burying everything in its path. The scale of this flood defies comprehension. It proves that the Earth is capable of sudden, violent hydrological shifts that can instantly reshape continents, swallowing entire coastal civilizations in a matter of days. The massive amount of water and mud buried the entire region, creating a new, terrifyingly barren topography in an instant. The cold, hard rock of the American Northwest holds the silent, immense, gouging evidence of this terrifying megaflood. It is a terrifying proof that history can be rewritten in an instant by the sheer force of water, burying entire ecosystems and potential settlements under miles of violently deposited mud and stone. The Earth keeps the secret of what was buried in this colossal, watery destruction. The impossible human footprint in stone. Across the globe, most notably in Glen Rose, Texas, impossible human footprints have been found alongside dinosaur tracks, sealed in deep ancient stone. These footprints are geometrically perfect and structurally sound, showing the heel, arch and toes of a modern human foot. The rock stratum dates the tracks back to the Cretaceous period, tens of millions of years ago, a time when humans did not exist. The chilling implication is that either a time traveller walked the Earth during the age of the dinosaurs, or a human-like species coexisted with them, only to be completely erased and sealed by the sudden, fossilizing power of mud and rock. The Earth has preserved this terrifying, definitive proof that our history is utterly wrong, a footprint of impossibility sealed in the deepest stone. This single, silent footprint is a monumental, non-negotiable paradox. It is a cold, hard sign that the most profound secrets of the Earth are literally underfoot, buried deep in the ancient mud. The Earth holds the terrifying secret of a forgotten species that walked the ancient world, their brief existence crushed and fossilized by the immense, silent power of time and sediment. The massive buried forests of the Arctic deep beneath the tundra and permafrost of the Arctic Circle. Colossal, perfectly preserved forests have been discovered, dating back millions of years. These are not simple dead trees, but entire forests of redwood-sized cypress and sequoia, buried whole by rapid sedimentation and a sudden massive shift in climate that flash froze them. They grew in an area that is now a frozen wasteland, proving a colossal pole shift event occurred. The existence of redwood forests in the modern-day Arctic suggests a violent, instantaneous geographical collapse where the North Pole was suddenly shifted to a different latitude. The Earth has preserved these immense silent trees as a record of a time when the Arctic was a warm, lush paradise, only to have its entire ecosystem instantly buried and flash-frozen by a massive geological cataclysm. The deep, cold earth of the Arctic holds the silent, heavy proof of this world-ending pole shift. These buried colossal trees are the silent wooden ghosts of a warm, forgotten world, a testament to a time when the Earth's axis was violently reoriented. The tundra is not just frozen, it is a massive cold vault holding the entire immense wooden skeleton of a vanished world. The Terracotta Army's subterranean seal. The famous Terracotta Army in China is composed of thousands of life-size statues buried in vast, complex subterranean vaults near the tomb of the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. While the figures are known, the depth and scale of the burial vault suggest a profound, deliberate attempt to seal this immense army and its technological secrets away from the surface world for eternity. The construction of these colossal subterranean vaults required unimaginable engineering, a deep, silent complex built to protect the emperor in death. The chilling mystery is the immense effort to hide this army of thousands in the cold earth, suggesting a fear that a surface enemy might try to resurrect them, or steal the technological secrets that lay within the tomb complex itself. The deep earth of China holds this vast, silent, buried host, a complete technological army sealed in permanent darkness. The entire complex is a massive engineered secret, a testament to a culture that mastered deep earth construction to hide its power. The earth is the final perfect vault for this colossal stone ghost army, and the terrible technology it was meant to guard, the tektite shower of Southeast Asia. Across vast areas of Southeast Asia and Australia, the ground is littered with millions of small, strange black glass objects known as tektites. These objects are formed when a massive cosmic impact melts terrestrial rock and blasts it into the atmosphere, where it freezes into glass before raining back down. The sheer volume and geographical spread suggest an immense, global, catastrophic impact event that incinerated a continent. The terrifying implication is that an event of such violence, a rain of molten, scorching glass, instantly wiped out any advanced civilization across an enormous region, burying their entire existence under a layer of this cosmic ejecta. The Earth holds this massive geological scar, a silent glass shard record of a sudden fiery annihilation from the heavens. These black silent glass shards are the cold, sharp remnants of a colossal, world-ending firestorm. They prove that a massive civilization-killing impact event occurred, only to be completely erased from the history books. The Earth has preserved this field of black glass as a perfect crystalline record of a moment when the sky itself rained down molten, fiery death upon a forgotten world. The buried city of Semyonovsky Island. In the Laptov Sea, off the coast of Siberia, the entirety of Semyonovsky Island vanished completely in the early 20th century. The island was composed almost entirely of ancient, dirty ice and permafrost, and it rapidly dissolved into the sea, revealing what appeared to be massive, structured stone foundation blocks beneath the melting ice. The entire landmass was a ghost of a world buried in ice. The island was not a natural formation, but the frozen, icy cap of a deeply buried megalithic city that was instantly flash-frozen at the onset of the Siberian cataclysm. As the ice melted, the entire foundation dissolved, proving that a colossal ancient structure existed only to be instantly consumed by a rapid freeze, turning the city into a ghost made of permafrost. The Arctic Sea holds the ultimate liquid ghost of a submerged, frozen civilization. The rapid disappearance of the island is terrifying proof that a colossal world can be hidden and then utterly dissolved by the violence of a climate shift. The sea is now the final cold resting place of a frozen metropolis, a cold, heavy ghost of a world that ended in instant ice, and was sealed by the ocean. The sudden burial of the pyramids, the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza and the Sphinx, are found to be buried deep beneath layers of rapidly deposited mud and sediment that date back thousands of years. This rapid burial suggests a colossal, violent flood event, a giant regional tsunami that swept across the Egyptian desert, burying the colossal structures in an instant and sealing their lower levels beneath the cold, heavy earth. The depth and type of sedimentation suggest an event far more immense than the Nile's yearly flooding. It implies that these massive structures, which are already chronologically impossible, were instantly consumed by a cataclysmic flood that drowned a world and buried the silent stone evidence of a previous age under a vast layer of earth. The desert sand is not just sand. It is the sediment of a colossal flood, sealing the true base of the most famous structures on Earth. The deep earth around the pyramids holds the terrifying, silent proof of a violent, watery collapse that drowned the ancient world. The pyramids are the exposed peaks of a history that was entirely submerged and sealed by the cold, heavy power of a colossal flood. The global alignment of megaliths. When viewed on a global map, the most ancient and impossible megalithic sites, including Giza, Easter Island, Nazca, and Angkor Wat, fall along precise, mathematically perfect geodetic lines. This global alignment suggests that the colossal structures were not built randomly, but according to a singular planetary-scale blueprint, a vast hidden network covering the entire Earth. This colossal global precision implies a unified, single civilization that mastered planetary mapping and engineering far before recorded history. The alignment is not a coincidence. It is a profound, silent message from a lost global architect. These massive structures are the exposed nodes of a buried, unified machine, a final, coded message written in colossal stone. The Earth holds the secret of this colossal, planetary architecture. The alignment proves that the first civilization was a global one, a single, terrifying entity that built with universal knowledge and then vanished completely. These silent stones are the perfect cold witnesses to the death of a planet-spanning empire. The subterranean tunnels of the Andes, deep beneath the Inca road systems and ruins in the Andes Mountains, legends speak of a vast, complex network of ancient subterranean tunnels, often lined with highly polished stone and connected to hidden vast chambers. These tunnels are sealed, deliberately collapsed, and buried by the deep earth, suggesting an enormous, hidden infrastructure that was actively used and then violently, systematically concealed. This hidden tunnel system implies a massive, forgotten transportation or communication network that operated deep beneath the surface world. The polished stone lining suggests a technology that could cut rock with perfect smoothness. The tunnels were not simply abandoned, they were buried and sealed by a colossal final architectural act to hide a secret from the surface. The deep earth of the Andes holds the silent, cavernous proof of a subterranean empire, a world that lived and died in the cold, permanent darkness beneath the mountains. These collapsed tunnels are the scars of a terrifying, self-inflicted wound, a final act of concealment by a people who chose to bury their entire civilization rather than let its secrets fall into the wrong hands. The Vastu Shastra's energy principles. The ancient Indian architectural texts known as Vastu Shastra describe precise methods for building structures to harmonize with the Earth's natural energy grid, focusing on geometric alignments, material density, and magnetic flow. While seen as philosophy, the precise, complex instructions suggest a lost, profound scientific understanding of geophysical energy that was later codified into ritual. These texts suggest that the entire Earth's surface was understood by the ancients as a massive, living machine, and that their cities were built as colossal, energetic components. The entire science was buried and forgotten by the cataclysm, only to survive as a ritualistic whisper. It implies that the purpose of every pyramid, temple, and megalith was to interact with the magnetic fields buried deep in the earth. The cold earth beneath our cities is crisscrossed with the silent, forgotten lines of this ancient, energetic blueprint. These texts are the ghost instructions for a vanished, unified energy network. The Earth holds the keys to this colossal power source, a final, coded message about how the world itself was once engineered by the last architect. The buried core of Göbekli Tepe, the oldest megalithic temple in the world, was deliberately and systematically buried by its own builders around 10,000 years ago. Instead of letting the site decay, they buried the colossal stone circles under thousands of tons of earth and debris, sealing the entire sacred complex in an artificial, massive mound. This final, colossal act of burial is the ultimate conspiracy of concealment. The sheer logistical effort required to bury an entire stone temple complex suggests a profound fear or reverence, a final act of the last architect to hide a technological or spiritual secret from the surface world. The entire site is a time capsule, a message sealed in the earth at the precise moment a global cataclysm was beginning to subside. The earth of Anatolia holds the terrifying silent truth of this final, deliberate act of historical erasure. Göbekli Tepe is not merely a ruin, it is a perfectly engineered deep earth vault, a colossal chamber where the knowledge of the first civilization was deliberately sealed and forgotten. The heavy soil became the permanent lock on the door of the ancient world. The magnetic map of the globe geological surveys show that the Earth's magnetic field has undergone rapid, catastrophic shifts throughout its history. Some researchers theorize that the global alignment of all ancient sites, the pyramids, mounds, and impossible subterranean tunnels, is a physical map of the Earth's pre-shift magnetic field lines. The entire planet is a silent, colossal compass pointing to a lost magnetic north. If the sites were built to harness a specific magnetic field, the shifts would have rendered their energy systems obsolete, forcing the civilization to abandon them and bury the evidence. The structures are the cold, hard ghost nodes of a vast planetary power grid that was destroyed by the Earth's own volatile core. The entire surface world is a gravestone for a magnetic empire. The Earth's crust holds the silent, heavy proof of a catastrophic, civilization-ending pole shift. The aligned megaliths are the frozen colossal needles of a broken compass, a final message from the last architect about the fragility of global power. The deep, hot core of the Earth is the true secret, the engine that destroyed the world and buried all the evidence. The hidden chambers of the pyramids. The Great Pyramids of Giza, already chronologically impossible, are now known to contain vast, previously unknown hidden chambers and voids, discovered using muon tomography. These massive sealed spaces are structurally and deliberately integrated into the colossal structures, suggesting they are not accidental, but part of a final, hidden architectural purpose. The size and deliberate concealment of these voids suggest they were not for burial, but for hiding something immense, a massive piece of technology, an archive of a knowledge, or the final resting place of the last architect himself. The entire pyramid is a gigantic, sealed message, a cold, geometric vault built to preserve a terrifying secret through the millennia of burial and cataclysm. The deep, heavy stone of the pyramids holds the terrifying, silent proof of a deliberate, massive concealment. The hidden voids are the empty archives of a civilization that built the most colossal structures on Earth for the sole purpose of hiding their technology. The Earth is the final, perfect vault for the great, hollow, cold secret of the world's most impossible structure. The buried language of geometry. Across all epochs and cultures, the profound secrets, from the megaliths of Europe to the temples of Asia, are encoded not in words, but in sacred geometry, the Vesica Piscis, the golden ratio, the Fibonacci spiral. This suggests a universal, single language used by the last architect, a terrifyingly precise mathematical code that transcends time and geography. The geometry is always found in the deepest, most permanent structures, implying that the architects knew all spoken languages would fail, but that mathematics would survive the final cataclysm. This geometric language is the final, silent, universal message, a blueprint for physics and advanced technology that was deliberately sealed in colossal stone structures for future recovery. The Earth holds the keys to this final mathematical language. Every massive, ancient structure is a frozen mathematical equation, a testament to a civilization that understood the universe was built on perfect numbers. The deep rock is the final archive for the terrifying silent truth. The last architect left a single planetary-sized geometry lesson for the survivors. The colossal buried stone circles. Beneath the smaller, surface-level stone circles like Stonehenge, geological surveys often reveal far older, much larger, and more complex megalithic circles made of impossibly cut stone. These original colossal circles are buried deep in the earth, suggesting that the visible structures are merely cheap, simple markers placed above a vast, complex subterranean machine that was buried and forgotten. The act of building a smaller, cruder stone circle directly above a titanic buried structure is the ultimate architectural cover-up, a deliberate attempt to mislead future researchers. It suggests the original buried circle was part of a larger planetary-wide energy network that was deliberately decommissioned and sealed by the last architect before the Great Flood. The Earth of Europe holds the silent, heavy proof of this massive buried machine. The visible stone circles are merely the ghost crowns of a colossal, energetic world that was systematically buried and erased. The deep, cold ground is the perfect vault for the terrifying, silent truth. The last architect left a final, colossal, complex machine sealed beneath the Earth. The global water table connection. The most impossible buried ruins, Tiahuanaco, Dwarka, the Cuban city, and Göbekli Tepe, are often located near massive, ancient bodies of water or the sea. This proximity suggests that the entire civilization was not merely coastal, but was using the massive global water table as part of a catastrophic engineering project, perhaps a form of hydro energy that went catastrophically wrong. The rapid burial and flooding of these sites suggest that the attempt to harness planetary-scale water energy resulted in a massive, uncontrolled geological collapse and global flood. The deep earth and the oceans swallowed the evidence, sealing the most powerful secrets in the liquid archives of the world. The last architect's greatest creation became the very weapon that destroyed them. The cold, wet earth holds the final, terrifying secret of the global flood. The buried cities are the silent, drowned monuments to a colossal experiment in hydroengineering that failed spectacularly. The last architect's final act was to bury the evidence of their hubris, sealing the blueprint for a power source that drowned the world in the deepest mud and water. The silence of the last architect. Every impossible artifact from the Upat sphere to the submerged pyramid points to a singular, terrifying conclusion: that a super-advanced global civilization was completely annihilated by a massive cataclysm. The last act of the last architect was not a monument to their own glory, but a deliberate burial of their entire history, a final, planetary-scale act of concealment. The entirety of the Earth, the deep rock, the abyssal sea, the frozen permafrost, is the perfect cold vault for this profound secret. The last architect engineered their own erasure, ensuring that the technology that destroyed their world could never be rebuilt. Their final message is one of terror, a blueprint hidden in impossible geometry, warning the inheritors not to dig too deep. The Earth is not a library of history. It is a colossal coffin for a destroyed superworld. The silent, cold ground holds the final, profound truth. We are the inheritors of a graveyard, and the ancient civilization was not forgotten by time, but actively, violently buried by the last architect to save the future from their own catastrophic knowledge. The final, terrifying truth is not that these artifacts are impossible, but that they were meant to be found. The last architect, the single unified intelligence behind the geometry, the metals and the colossal burials, left a breadcrumb trail of terror, a final, planetary-scale message sealed in the Earth's crust. It is a warning to the inheritors. Our world is built on the ruins of a cataclysm caused by impossible technology, and the blueprints for that destruction are still down there. The deeper we dig, the closer we get to unleashing the knowledge that buried an entire civilization. The silence of the Earth is the scream of a world that ended, and its secrets are waiting to end ours.